of the average person. One way to see that, I think, is just to look at the materials he used in making his art. Concrete, wire, house paint, those are the common materials of an industrial civilization. So he's accepting the industrialization. He's accepting the large forces, but he's using them. In other words, he's not using wood. His world is full of wood, and he's not a wood carver. He's using industrial materials that are common in the hardware store.
For Andrew Jackson, the statue of Andrew Jackson, he let me make the head of Andrew Jackson. And first, he took me to Nashville, I think the State Museum in Nashville, where they had a statue of Andrew Jackson on a horse, reared up, and he wanted me to sketch that, so I made a drawing of that. And when we came back to Palmyra, he used that to build the statue of Andrew Jackson. A horse up on his hind legs. Of course, now he made this statue very strong with lots of steel reinforcement, and he made the legs of that horse unusually large and powerful to support the weight of all that concrete and steel. And when it came time to making the head of Andrew Jackson, he showed me how to do that. Took a little box and poured concrete in it, made sort of a square, and then after it had set for about a day, he showed me how to take a knife and carve out facial features from that square block. And it turned out pretty good. And so we had this head on a steel pipe that was maybe 6 inches long, and this was placed into the body of Andrew Jackson, and came out pretty good. Of course, later the first thing that happened was the head was removed by vandals.
He was always building something. He took well, as a matter of fact, the same old turkey that he and I didn't get along very well. When the turkey died, and it wasn't because of what I did either, but when the turkey died, Grandpa took and skinned him. And then he made a rod like so, and he put this thing through the body cavity, but he covered the cavity, or the body was of concrete or plaster or mortar or whatever. And anyway, he put the turkey over this thing, and then he ran the rod through this turkey and put the wings on the turkey so that when the wind would blow, the turkey would be like he was flying.
I did a lot of hunting with my grandfather. At an early age, he loaned me his gun and showed me how to hunt. So I did a lot of hunting with him. But as he got older, he couldn't go very far. He couldn't do much hunting, but he liked for me to go hunting for raccoons or coon hunting with his dogs. And when I came back, he always had me to tell him exactly what happened in the hunt. So he kind of relived it, as it were, and seemed to enjoy that.
Daddy had a .22 rifle, and Grandpa took it, and he was going to shoot the possum. And I asked him if I could shoot the possum, and he said, no, he said, I don't think so. He said, you'll tear the meat up. He said, I'm going to hit him in the head, and Grandpa was an excellent shot. He said, you'll tear the meat up if you shoot him. I said, no, I'll hit him in the head. And I was about 10, I guess. So I shot, the possum fell out. Grandpa says, you must have hit him right in the middle of the backbone or something. I walked over there and looked at him. It had gone in one eye and came out the other. And so Grandpa just looked at me and he says, "That's a pretty good shot." And that's all he had to say. And Grandpa wasn't a real demonstrative type individual, but we let the dogs go again, went back and ate the sweet potatoes, best sweet potato I ever ate. But sitting there, in the woods and listening to the dogs run. That's what I remember about Grandpa.
See, one of the problems in any art form is, what is the moral imagination behind it? What is the vision of the person, the artist, toward him or herself, and that person's vision of others? And Mr. Wickham is, seems to me, engaging in a serious exercise about human dignity and competence, both.
My psychoanalyst friends said that the thing that distinguishes real artists as opposed to other artists is that there is something in the makeup, something in the nature of these particular people that they are just compelled. There's this compulsion to do this kind of thing. And I think that's kind of true, and that's one reason I kind of respected this man, because I think that there was absolutely nothing practical, there was nothing useful, and he spent a great deal of his income doing these things. He didn't have to do these things, but for some reason he seemed to have been, he wanted to do them, he had to do them, and I think they take on a kind of a vitality and a kind of a presence that that is required
So
to be art.
So you would say he's an artist?
Yes.
He would have done it, if people had argued with him or disagreed with him or made fun of him or whatever, he would have said, "So what?"
I think that sometimes when you hear writers, they say, "I have to do it. I'm doing it as much for myself as for anything else. I feel driven to do that." And I think certainly with sculptors, there's a sense of passion that's there. The motto of the Benedictine order is ora et labora, to pray and to work. That the two are not mutually exclusive, but that somehow even in our work that we're consecrating that work to God. And so work is seen as something within Catholic theology that's worthwhile because it's a participation in the creation of God.
The essence of much Catholic theology is the incarnation, the value of the incarnation. The idea of the communion of the saints over time, because the substance, the material that you use, it becomes sacred when the logos, the inner logic of the universe in Catholic theology, Jesus, is put into it. So the body and the body is sacred because the soul is there, and the soul is suffused through the object and communicated by the object. The soul has no way to speak but through the body, through the material. And it is preserved. The message is preserved. That's why Catholic art is the way it is over centuries. If what he's trying to do is give that property and those statues to the Catholic Church, he's making, it seems to me, an assertion about democracy, democratic culture, and the continuing communion of the saints in a universalist Catholic Church. This is, in other words, this is sacred stuff.
Some of the most beautiful cathedrals in the world, what we often forget is that some of the artwork that is there we can't even see because of the heights or because of the particular location of it. but that it is there inspiring and giving beauty because it was important to the artist and it was done for the glory of God. And so it's all the details, even